How's it going, TikTok? Give me just a second. Sorry, I'm running a little behind. But that's not any different than any other time I'm doing this. Somehow the time just gets away from me and it ends up getting a lot later than I anticipate because I screw around and never get on here when I intend. As you all know, life does get in the way. So, how's it going? How is everyone doing on this Sunday evening? Everybody getting ready to work tomorrow? Anybody got a day off with it being President's Day? Not to gloat, but I'm off tomorrow. So, that's why not really ironing it out tonight. For those of you that do come and join my lives, you know I'm typically ironing about this time, ironing a uniform. Not doing that tonight. I hate Mondays as well, man. But you know what? Tomorrow, I'm good with that. I will take a day off on Monday. And you know, my wife and I were just talking about this a while ago. Dude, the whole 3-day weekend thing, I am all about doing that every week. I think a 3-day weekend obviously is so much more productive, but just having that extra day. Because I don't know about for any of you, but Fridays are kind of a wash because, you know, you've already worked all day. And typically for me, I work day and night on Fridays are usually busy because I've got a game or something somewhere I'm working. So Fridays are pretty much a wash. So by the time I come home late and then sleep in on Saturday, hell, my weekends, you know, really cut into. So having that third day off tomorrow is I'm really looking forward to it. So I hope there's some of you out there that are off tomorrow and enjoying President's Day, enjoying the day off. Just a reminder, it's federal holiday, so banks and banks are closed, and the post office is closed as well. Old Colts banner, are you talking about this one? That is from 1984. That's the Colts' initial season. They handed those out right out of the gate. Some of the first. Really the first Indianapolis Colts memorabilia that was made. So, and GTE was a phone company. So, welcome. Those of you that are here, if you're new to me, I'm Officer Craig. Please give me a like. Please give me a follow while I have your attention. I appreciate it. Hang out. If you have any questions, just please put it in the comments. Talk a lot of sports. Talk a lot of football. Talk about legal stuff, police stuff, social justice. All I ask is you be respectful. That's it. We have enough dicks in the world. We don't need any more, right? So that's just be respectful. That's all I ask. So wow, I lost a lot of people on the being respectful thing. I lose a lot of people on the cop thing too. But that's my life. That's how it works. So I want to get into it. A couple things I want to talk about tonight. I've listed the top 25 free agents in the National Football League. Who's on that list? Who do you hope that your team gets? I'm sure there's a Cowboys fan in here somewhere. How about them Cowboys? But I want to talk, and I'll also talk about the Colts. I've got some landing spots for Carson Wentz. As you can see, I'm a Colts fan, so I always end up talking about the Colts, sometimes at nauseum, so I apologize, but I want to start out talking about free agency and what we have going on. Also, those of you that are new to me as well, again, I'm Officer Craig. Please give me a like. Please give me a follow as I have your attention. Smash that screen a couple of times. I'm ADD, man, so I'm all over the place. So if you comment something, I don't get it, or if I start to answer you and I see something shiny, I apologize ahead of time. Please forgive me. Just remember. Just remind me. So I appreciate that. Thank you, and I beg for your mercy ahead of time. So, fins up, Dolphins fan in the house. What's up, Miggins? How are you? And there we go. Titans fans are never late. They stop they're scrolling through TikTok. And I'm like, Colts fan, let me stop long enough just to run my mouth. Is that usually how it works, Titans fans? So Buffalo Bills win AFC next season. Why Wentz out so fast? We'll go through all of that. I always say your ADD helps my ADD watch your lives, and I hope that's the case, man. I'm looking forward to it. But so we're not on here until 3 a.m. I like I always tell you guys, I do this. My wife lets me come in here. I will never allow social media or TikTok or anything else to ever get in the way or affect my marriage / relationship, family, whatever, as nobody should. However, if I'm spending 3-4 hours on here, then that's probably a problem. But I'll get to running my mouth. You got to tell me shut up sometimes. So, I'm a Falcons fan. Calvin Ridley, that's another good one. I want to get into it right away and kind of go over some of these free agents. And these aren't necessarily in the number. We do need Manning back as a Colts fan, absolutely. That'll never happen. I would take him in a heartbeat, though. A lot of 49ers fans in here. Assalamu alaikum. Somebody asked me if I was Muslim. That was it. Cowboys fans. No, I'm not Muslim. Anyways. Only one would. Yes, absolutely. So, right out of the gate on this list, mentioning Von Miller. So, what is your guys' opinion on Von Miller? Do you think he continues where he is in LA? Do you think he's done? Von Miller is what? He's early 30s, 32, 33 years old. Hold on, I'm going to stop that. I asked somebody wanted Wentz back. Yes, you can have him. Give us our pick back. You can have Wentz. But Von Miller, does anybody think Von Miller moves on from the Rams? Personally, I think Von Miller has grown roots in LA. I think his feet are in concrete. And I mean that by I think he's ready to ride this out because and a lot of you that follow me and join my lives, I think the 22 season will be the last season for the Los Angeles Rams that they're productive. Let me rephrase that. I said productive. I think they'll still somewhat be productive, but I think that the 22 season will be the last season that they are a Super Bowl contender for quite some time. And the reason for that is you just can't do what the Rams have done and continue to be for the long haul. You cannot mortgage your future like the Rams did and trading everything that you have and, F those draft picks. Yeah. The team that says that is the team that just won the Super Bowl. You can say F those draft picks. But the truth is going to be, the truth will be told in the long term, and I expect that the Rams are at their plateau. They're at their pinnacle right now. They have plateaued, and the Rams will be on a steady decline starting next season. And I think by the 24 season, the Rams are going to be a shell of the team that they are right now, and that's just how that is. They're not the first ones that have tried this. I want to go all in. We want to win a Super Bowl now. We want to do this, that, and the other. They're not the first NFL team that's had that NBA mentality. Let's do this. There's a reason it doesn't work for the long term. And I understand Rams front office, their ownership, and everyone else thinks that they've reinvented the wheel with this here. However, I don't think that's the case. I think the 2022 season is going to be it for the Rams, and they're going to do some serious rebuilding and restructuring after that. The Bills are the team to watch out for. You know what? I don't disagree with that. I can't say I disagree with that. Before the Bengals did what they did, and I'm still not ready to crown the Bengals the kings of the AFC. I'm really not. Are they a great team? Absolutely. They showed that. They just contended for a Super Bowl and very well could have won, right? However, I think the Bills and the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs got beat, okay? I still think that as of right now, as we sit right now, I still think that the AFC belongs to the Chiefs. I think, and don't at me, Houday Nation. Do not. I supported the Bengals 110%. Wanted them to win the Super Bowl. However, as far as the long run, continuing to go back to the same spot every year, play deep in the playoffs, I think that's on the Chiefs. But the Bills and the Chiefs matchup, I think 22 is the year that the Bills get the Chiefs monkey off their back. Because the Chiefs have been the thorn in the Bills' side, have they not? And it's kind of like, even when there were good Titans teams back in the day from the AFC South, when you're playing in a division with Peyton Manning, it was hard. The Colts were always a thorn in the Titans' side. They could never just flourish because they always had the Colts monkey on their back. Bills have kind of been the same way. So I think the 22 season is the year that the Bills finally put a good smackdown on the Chiefs and we'll get over that Chiefs hump, because I expect that's the matchup that we'll end up seeing again in the playoffs. In the AFC, it will be the Bills and the Chiefs. It's very reminiscent to the Colts Patriots of yesteryear. That matchup reminds me a lot of that. High flying, high points. I enjoyed those games just as I enjoyed the Chiefs and the Bills games. So I expect that's what we're going to see. I expect that's what we're going to see, and let me turn that around so you can see the horseshoe. I expect that's what we're going to see, and I also expect that 22 will be the year that the Bills make just enough moves in the offseason. I really think the Bills front office, the moves they make this year, just like the Colts used to do, they would make moves with the Patriots in mind. Obviously, they think about the rest, but they were making power moves with the Patriots in mind. How the heck do we beat the Patriots? This is how. And I expect to see the Bills make some moves. I can love Fantasyland all day long, but I expect to see the Bills make some moves in the offseason that are directed at the Chiefs. And that's how I think that's going to, we'll talk about that come, this time a year from now, but that's what I think is going to happen. All right. We also, number 2 on this free agent list is outside linebacker Chandler Jones. James Chandler. I know a James Chandler is why. Chandler Jones with the Cardinals. That's a big name, big free agent on this list. I don't know what is up with Arizona. With the whole Kyler Murray thing, and we talked about this the other night, my confidence in the Cardinals front office, and who the hell am I? It's not just, but I'm just saying personally from a fan standpoint, the whole Kyler Murray thing, and a team that allows anything to come out to the media that is bashing your franchise quarterback, that to me is just asinine. And if they have problems with his maturity or whatever the case may be, I think it's absolutely insane. That's on them, is it not? I think that is on the Cardinals to help him develop. You have a 24-year-old franchise quarterback. So I think re-signing big names, and I think Chandler Jones is another one of their biggest free agents. I think who they have behind center is going to, be dependent on whether he wants to stay in Arizona or not. Because there are a lot of teams out there that would swoop him up in a heartbeat for a lot of money. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on in Arizona. I don't know where their head's at, but it doesn't seem, the things that are coming out of Phoenix, of them talking negatively about their franchise quarterback, who's on his last year of his rookie contract, mind you, of $10 million and some change, something like that. He's going to be looking to be paid upwards of $40 to $50 million. And then to talk about his immaturity and this, that, and the other, I think they're making a wrong move in Arizona, and I don't know if I was if I was a part of that team, unless I did, and who knows, maybe Chandler Jones doesn't like him either. That could be it. But if Chandler Jones doesn't like him, then maybe he's like, yeah, I'm all in. Let's get rid of this dude. But I have a hard time seeing that be the case. The Cardinals were contenders. 85% of the season. It is what it is. So I see a lot of Wentz comments. Thanks for the first round pick for a trash can. Oh, absolutely. If nobody wants Wentz, that's where you're wrong, sir. There are plenty of oink. Here, let's all look at DNA because he wants attention. Let's all look. He wants to say oink. Everybody look. Give him attention. Did you get enough attention, man? Okay, fair enough. There you go. That's all you got to do is ask. If you need attention, just ask, man. So, going back to Wentz, man, he's not what you think. A lot of people are like, yeah, he is trash. He's all this, that, and the other, coming from a Colts standpoint. However, don't think that other teams out there aren't going to want this guy. To look at him on paper, and I mentioned this the other night, and I'm just going to dive into it because I keep saying a lot of people talking about Wentz on here. Terrible coaching is part of it. I'm not. Frank Reich is not without sin, and the reason that this short-term marriage has failed miserably and fallen flat on its face, that's part of it. But if you saw the Colin Cowherd thing the other night or last week, whatever it was, where he did the blind comparison and he took Carson Wentz's numbers and blindly put them up against the numbers of multiple other quarterbacks, including Josh Allen, who else? Derek Carr, a bunch of other guys, and Carson Wentz's numbers were above and beyond better. So to think, is there anybody that's in this live right now, even whether you've mentioned anything or not? Thank you for the follows, by the way. If you haven't followed me already, please give me a like. Please give me a follow. Hit that plus button right there. Is there anybody in this live right now that thinks Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Josh Allen of the Bills? Anyone? I will wait. I saw a couple of likes there. So that means I'm seeing people are agreeing with this. So, okay. So I'm just going to assume that the majority of people think that that's not the case, that Josh Allen is not better, or that Carson Wentz is not better than Josh Allen. Absolutely. However, to look at him on paper, he is. Without a doubt. Carson Wentz was like 29-7, 29 touchdowns, I think 29 or 27-7 with 7 interceptions. Now, what the national media and on a national level, they're not paying attention. They don't realize they weren't Colts fans or watching every pass that he threw, or the almost picks where he threw it to the other team or dumped it off to the other team that actually they end up dropping the ball, right? Josh Allen is a mobile beast. Wentz isn't. You know what? And Wentz ran the ball some this season. He really, midway through the season, he really had me scratching my bald head for a minute going, is this going to end up working out? Am I going to end up having to change my mind on this guy? Well, that train was never late with Carson Wentz, because week 17 and 18 came, and what happened. But what I'm getting at, so there are multiple teams in the NFL now that are willing. And I've told you all what I think, where I think Carson Wentz goes, and what I think he goes for. I still tend to think he ends up possibly in Tampa. And the reason for that is he's a veteran quarterback, and wherever he goes, which will not be Indianapolis, there's no way, and I'll get out, then Carson Wentz stays with the Colts. That marriage is done. Colts fans talk about, what's the upgrade? Colts just have to keep him another year. No. This is one of those rare situations where so much damage has been done, there is no way in hell that the Colts end up keeping Carson Wentz. I used the analogy last night. That's like having a failing marriage and saying you're staying together just for the kids. Who does that benefit? That has never benefited anyone. It's definitely not benefiting the kids. And the kids being the locker room of the Indianapolis Colts, definitely not benefiting them just to hang on to a failing relationship for another season. Just because you don't have a better stepdad to come along? No. They have to and they will cut him loose. I tend to think that he will end up in Tampa because of the affinity that Bruce Arians has with him, even though reports are coming out of Tampa now that Bruce Arians is saying that they are going to stay the course with Blaine Gabbert. That they think that he can do this, but I expect them to still continue to say that. I don't think the Colts will end up having to just release him. I don't think that'll be the case. Here are 4 other teams that are sensible landing spots for Carson Wentz that make sense, and I agree with where they make sense on this. And this one is my favorite. And I will start out with it. No, you know what? I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that until last. 1, the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers have gone through a gauntlet of quarterbacks. Even though they have the 6th overall pick in the 22 draft. But the whole Cam Newton project didn't work. Sam Darnold not going to work. Their coach is on the hot seat, or he's at a point where he's got to make something work there, right? Carson Wentz, he's veteran status, especially if you're looking on paper. You've got a quarterback on paper, and I want you to keep this in mind. That's why I brought that up first. You've got a quarterback on paper that is better than Josh Allen, that had a better season than Josh Allen. On paper. I don't think that. But that's it, on paper. So why, you can blame coaching, you can blame environment, you can do all of these things, right? So I go on from there. Carolina Panthers are that, okay? So Carolina Panthers are an obvious option. Even though they have the 6th overall pick, I would think but Pickett's the best quarterback in the draft. I don't see him going that early in the draft. Number 2, the Washington Commanders. What's up, Harley? What's good, man? Yes, statistically he works, realistically he doesn't. Lewis, that's a great analogy, and truer words have never been spoken about Carson Wentz. Washington, they're a team that's, I think they have the 11th or 12th overall pick. I think number 11, which I've seen mock drafts right now that have them picking up Pickett. But are they in a position where they think that Pickett's their guy, that he's a plug and play, meaning they can plug him in at the starting position right now and go out and win games next season? Do they think that's it? And I'm going to go with no on that. I don't think they have the other pieces in place that they need, and they might do to him as they have a history of doing to a lot of quarterbacks. So Carson Wentz, and they could possibly get Carson Wentz for a bargain basement deal. So he could be cheap. Because I think without question, Colts are looking to recoup draft picks, right? They blew a first rounder on here, which essentially is the 16th overall pick. Cost the Colts the 16th overall pick to get Carson Wentz to not take us to the playoffs, okay? So, number 2 team, Washington Commanders. Number 3, and some people on this list think that this is the best scenario or the most probable spot for Carson Wentz. Anybody want to take a shot at where it would be? No, and I don't expect to get you know what? I don't expect to get a first round back. A 2, a 3, a 3 and a 5, and not even this year. Anything is better than that. What is it? S-Rock 1217, the Pittsburgh Steelers. This goes against everything that I think for Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh will essentially end up staying the course with Mason Rudolph. I think Mason Rudolph deserves that chance. But what I'm hearing, maybe they don't. Carson Wentz to Pittsburgh would make sense in a lot of ways. He looks good on paper. He's an upgrade technically from Big Ben, from the lack of mobility and even though they went to the playoffs, he would technically be an upgrade from Big Ben. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, another AFC team. Who do they have in the first round? I think they're 20, 21, 22, somewhere in that. Right. And Wentz would be back in Pennsylvania. So you have that, right? My favorite on this list, even aside from Tampa Bay, because I that relationship with Tampa Bay, I just read that comment. Most famous person I pulled over. I can't really say. It was a Colts player. I'll put it that way. And that was not. It's been within the past 8 months. Well, we'll go back to that later. So my favorite landing spot for Carson Wentz. And this is where everybody's going to come at me and tell me how dumb I am and how this guy is garbage. And I did see Juwan Howard. And how this guy's garbage and how he's done and this, that, and the other. But, Colts are taking a $15 million cap hit either way it goes. That's as good as, and I think they're okay with that. They've got the room. He's dead cap space. But the landing spot for him that I would like to see the most, and this would make most sense, and I think it would almost be a swap. I could see him working out a deal where it would swap quarterbacks with this team. With some other things involved, and maybe a third team in with some drafts or some players, just some moving around. But ultimately, I could see the Indianapolis Colts trading quarterbacks with this team. And it's the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield. Yeah, no, not Vegas. Not Vegas. But it would be Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield. So that whole thing in Cleveland, a lot of people say Baker's just absolute garbage. He's done. Because of, and a lot of people are saying that off the 21 season. The 21 season. This season he had was trash. The dude got hurt. What was it? Week 1, week 2, and he was never the same since. Absolutely never the same. At this point, I think a lot of people are ready to run him out of Cleveland, including the front office of Cleveland. But no, I everything I read and hear and see, the Browns are not all in with Baker Mayfield at all. And they are ready to explore other options. And they've been vocal about that. They've been vocal about exploring other options. I don't think Baker Mayfield's ever been a good fit in Cleveland. Especially since OBJ has left there and has gone and won a Super Bowl. And so many of the teammates that are still in Cleveland have been very vocal about supporting him and kind of what side that they fall on. Burrow for Mayfield. He actually hurt his stock by continuing to play. He should have had surgery. I agree wholeheartedly. Shoulder injury aside and all of that, I don't think that Baker Mayfield, I still don't agree that he is a good fit in Cleveland. What are their options? We know who's out there. We've gone over the free agents as far as the quarterback position. Cleveland's not that hot market that everybody wants to go to, a lot like Indy. I could see, and I would love, as a Colts fan, I would love to give Baker Mayfield a shot behind center here in Indianapolis. I think he would be good for the team, good for the scheme, good for the city. And I think Carson Wentz may have moderate success up there. I think Carson Wentz, wherever he goes, because it won't be Indy, I think Carson Wentz will have a better season next season wherever he is that's not named Indianapolis. That's just what I think. I feel that. And people are going to say, oh my God, Colts should have gave him another year. No. There's just been too much damage that's been done. So who do you think the Colts would sign instead of Wentz? And like I was saying earlier, this is one of those very rare situations that the Colts and Colts fans, you may not get an upgrade. You may not get an upgrade. Everybody always says, well, Colts, who do they have? What's the option? They may just have to stick with Carson Wentz another year. No, this is one of the very rare scenarios and situations where you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot keep that guy here in Indy. It was such a failure, and it's not all Carson Wentz's fault. A big part of that is on Frank Reich, because Frank Reich sold and made promises that he could not deliver on to the owner and the GM. So it could be a downgrade. But here's the thing. Whoever is behind center for the Indianapolis Colts week 1, I don't believe will be in a long-term contract. I think they're going to be a Band-Aid. And you know what? As a fan, I'm okay with that. Unless it's a Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, which I don't think he's even being talked about anymore. But Coach and Wentz are gone after this year. Wentz is gone. Wentz won't start this season. Wentz is gone before spring break. I'll put that out there. Wentz will be gone before spring break. And Jimmy Garoppolo is, as my buddy Harley Hoosier always says, is a GQ version of Carson Wentz. He's a better looking Carson Wentz. Same boat, different river. I don't think the Colts will even entertain that idea. I think they'll look to go into a completely different area, different style player. Whatever happened to Jacoby Brissett? He's actually a free agent right now. He played for Miami. I missed the old Billy D. Williams Colt 45. That got my attention. Yes, sir. I thoroughly agree with that. My buddy Atticrat. What's good up there, man? You doing all right? The old Billy D. Williams. Only you would remember that. Wentz might be an expensive backup for the Colts. No, he is gone. That's one of those things. And like I said, it's not all Wentz's fault, but he's got to go. He will be out of the locker room. When it starts to affect the culture like it has here, the Colts, you can say what you want about the Indianapolis Colts, but they have a good culture in that front office as well as the locker room. And when you have somebody that has a season like they did and it starts to affect the culture, you have to protect that culture at all costs, because that's not something you build within a season or 2 or even 5. That is that's something you build over many, many years, that takes forever to build and it doesn't take long to destroy. So nothing is worse than Wentz. No way I'd take a 7th grader over him. Do you think the Brady Arians tension was real? I do. I don't know if any of you saw that. There are reports that there was tension between Bruce Arians and Tom Brady. That's part of what led. I don't think it's quite was this just divas butting heads, but if you look at the times that Brady made his own calls, and which happened more than once, where he kind of, thank you for the roses, thank you for the gifts, by the way. If you look at the times that he kind of balked at the coach, I do believe there's some truth to that. And like I said, typically in the NFL, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I believe that. Even though Bruce Arians came out and said it was all, and I quote, BS, that's not what he said, but, he used the full term on that, trying to put this to bed. I think there was something to that. I really do. So, only time will tell. More of that story will start to come out. Allegedly, it's from an expatriate teammate of Tom Brady's is the one that brought this out. What do you feel? How do you feel about Gus Bradley? And what do you think Irsay's a good owner? I love Jim Irsay. I think Jim Irsay is one of the best owners in the National Football League. And I will tell you this: he has his faults, as we all do, but I don't believe there's another owner in the National Football League that loves his team more than Jim Irsay loves the Colts. Jim Irsay has blue in his DNA. He has been running this team at some capacity since he was an adolescent. And I mean, literally, I think he was like 12, something like that, when his dad traded the LA Rams for the Baltimore Colts. And that's what it was. The Irsays, first off, owned the Los Angeles Rams. They traded the Rams for the Baltimore Colts. The owners traded with some money. I don't think that's ever been done since. But Robert Kraft better. I guarantee Robert Kraft does not love the Patriots like Jim Irsay loves the Colts. That's all I'm saying. He's been involved. All he knows is that Irsay. That's all he knows is this team. And there's not another owner that's been associated with this team like Jim Irsay has in the National Football League as long as they have. I don't think that there's another one that's out there. If so, let me know. But I don't think there is. Yeah. I mean, he's a super. Al Davis was something else. Jerry Jones' son being GM is the biggest joke in football. I'm not disagreeing with that. I think that's a pretty bold statement. There are some guys out there that are in positions in the National Football League in front office jobs or in coaching jobs that I'm like, how in the wide world of sports did these guys get this position? And Jim Irsay is the one making the call on Wentz. Absolutely. You go back to the whole Colts, Frank Reich and Chris Ballard both are, what's our option? And Jim Irsay's answer to that was, you guys created this, you guys figured out, that's why you get paid the big money. If it was easy, you wouldn't be getting paid what you get paid. So that's Chris Ballard, he's really going to earn his money, and I think this season, or what happens now within the next month, is really going to determine the longevity of both of those guys, meaning Chris Ballard and Frank Reich. I think this is probably both of their most important month in their professional careers. I appreciate you, sir. All right, be good, man. I'm not going to be on here real long. I just had to get on here and run my mouth. I'm off tomorrow. I hope you're off. Well, you won't be off. I forget you're up there north of the border. You guys don't have a President's Day. It's a federal holiday for us down here tomorrow. So I'm gonna go out and see if I can find some new toys to get. But be good, man. Keep in touch, brother. Good to hear from you. If you look at the cap, Colts' hands are tied. The Colts have painted themselves into a corner, and the Colts aren't horrible as far as the cap space. The Colts are. We have Family Day here. Oh, right on. Good deal. Glad to hear it, man. Hey, by the way, I meant to tell you, I didn't get to comment. I'm digging the Grizzly Adams. Is that just winter growth? Does that come off as does that come off in when everything thaws out and start turning green or not. I'm digging the Grizzly Adams. Yes, winter only. So Attic Rat's a collector friend of mine. If you guys don't follow him, if you collect any vintage toys or like anything, if you're similar to my age or anywhere near that, go follow this guy. You'll really enjoy him. His TikTok's amazing. His YouTube's even better. Check him out. Don't hold him being Canadian against him. No, but love that guy. He's awesome. So check him out. Do you think I like Mark Davis? Mark Davis is a different cat, man. Watch the Colts sign Fitzpatrick. I think Fitzpatrick would cost too much money. I really do. Colts pick up mid-round quarterback Notre Dame. The problem with the Colts, even if, say, the Colts brought Aaron Rodgers to Indy, who's he throwing to? The Colts are still in such bad shape, man. That's right. Speaking of which, sorry guys, real quick. I don't know if you watch Family Guy at all or not, but I just watched the one the other night, and they had a clip of making fun of G.I. Joe, and they're like, making fun of Cobra, and they said it's the only terrorist organization that yells their name right as they're getting ready to attack somebody. And it had a cutaway of the old G.I. Joe cartoons, and it looked exactly like the old 80s cartoons, but I thought that was very funny. I'm like, yeah, they did yell Cobra every time. That would be like, yeah, ISIS! If they did that every time they attacked something, I thought it was very funny and odd. So, throw that out there. Colts should go get Mariota. Look, I mentioned this the other night, and I apologize if you're not a Colts fan, but I've got to exercise a lot of these demons. The Mariota may not be. I would not be opposed to bringing Marcus Mariota to the Colts on a 1-year deal. What I am against is the Colts mortgaging their future anything past the 22 season, meaning getting into draft picks for 23, 24, and beyond for somebody because it'll be a forced. It's going to be whoever they bring in. They're on the clock, right? So they're panicking. They're grasping for straws. The Colts are almost desperate at this point, right? So that's why I look for a deal to be made with somebody maybe we don't know. I really would. I would like to see Baker Mayfield brought to Indianapolis. I'm not a fan of Wentz. I wasn't a fan when they brought him here. I didn't like, and I don't like the relationship with Wentz and Frank Reich. Jimmy G, he's going to cost too much. The Niners think he's worth too much. He thinks he's worth too much. Jimmy G's not that guy. I think Jimmy G lands in like a Washington. I think they still may draft a QB, but I can see them doing a short-term deal with like a Washington, or doing a short-term deal with Jimmy G in like Washington. Then he'd do all his commercials at Lucas. Who are we talking about? Aaron Rodgers? The Ford trade worked well. Nick Foles is a free agent. I don't believe Nick Foles is a free agent. I'll have to confirm that. Andy Dalton, definitely a free agent. But even if they pick up like an Andy Dalton, it can't be anything more than like a one year deal. That it's going to be a bargain contract. That's why I think dealing Carson Wentz to one of the teams that I named makes sense. Even if they get the Colts are going to recoup something from Carson Wentz from losing that first round draft pick. They have to. That's a must. They've got to. Chris Ballard has been so conservative with our draft picks. This one hits him below the belt. Colts fire sale, things go south and into the season. Yeah, Jimmy at Denver is a good fit for them. You know, I hadn't really thought about Jimmy in Denver. I still think, up until this past week, I thought Aaron Rodgers in Denver was a done deal. But Wentz is a third round he's a third round to Colts fans. He is a third rounder to Colts fans. Keep in mind, everybody else doesn't watch him week in, week out, every down, what he does on the field, off the field, this, that, and the other. They are looking at numbers. They're going to watch film, but they're also looking at numbers. And how his numbers are up here. I don't respond to people putting government names in the chat. I cannot confirm nor deny. Yes, Wentz needs to go, and Wentz will be gone. I don't know who was it that asked me that. My blood type is A positive. My mom and sister are O negative. Does everybody know what their blood type is? That is Harvey. That's yes, by the way. Numbers are better than Baker Mayfield. Oh, absolutely. Thoughts on Patriots? I think the Patriots, and sorry, I'm just getting to that. Patriots, man, I think are. I think the Patriots are set up to be good again. I watched. I appreciate you, Harvey. Thank you, sir. I think the whole Mac Jones, and that's what's so damn aggravating, is the Mac Jones is another quarterback Colts had the opportunity to go get. Over the course of the past 5 seasons, since Andrew Luck has been gone, going into 6, look at the amount of quarterbacks that have been drafted that the Indianapolis Colts have refused to go all in on. It's absolutely insane. So that's why I think Chris Ballard and Frank Reich, their seats are a lot hotter than a lot of people really believe. I appreciate the follow. Thank you. If you guys haven't followed me already, who's left here, please give me a like, give me a follow. Smash that screen a couple of times like that if you would, please. Every like makes a difference. I want to be verified on this app at some point in time. TikTok doesn't think I'm cool enough yet. So maybe one day, and when that happens, we'll all have an amazing big party. Where's Carr going? I was really hoping that they would work out something for Carr to come to Indy. I don't think Carr goes anywhere in the 22 season. I think they do a new contract with Carr. I think he plays through next season, and I think that'll be it. Because do not trust, I assure you, do not trust a word that Josh McDaniels says. He's going to sell everyone. Oh, yeah, it's all been Wentz conversation. He's going to try to sell everyone on the fact that Derek Carr is his guy. I think that Josh McDaniel is more in on his receiving core than he is the quarterback in Vegas. And because you have a Cooper Kupp type of quarterback or wide receiver in Vegas. You really do. Megan's, I didn't see what you said. Sorry, let me go back a little bit. But Carr's not going. I don't think Carr goes anywhere. I would love to see him in Indy. I really would. I think that dude, out of everybody that's out there, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, all the names we've named, to come to the Indianapolis Colts, I believe Derek Carr would be the best fit for this team. The pieces of the puzzle that the Colts have now, and in the long term, over the course of the next 5 to 7 seasons, I think Derek Carr would be the guy, and that would be a quarterback that I would be willing for the Colts to go all in on. I would be willing for the Colts to give up a first-round pick, but he would be just about it. If the Colts give up any more picks, future picks that aren't hey, Mace, thank you. If they give up any more future picks that aren't, you're insane. About Derek Carr? You don't think Derek Carr's a franchise quarterback? Oh, absolutely. The Colts have no receivers. I agree wholeheartedly. We had one receiver. One. The Colts had one receiver that was at 400 yards this season. We're the only team in the National Football League that had one receiver. Mason, thank you so much, man. I'm going to hit you up after this is done. We have one receiver, over 400 yards receiving. Absolutely horrendous. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the gifts. And that is absolutely, you don't build a team around him. But I think you do build a team around him. And I don't think that Derek Carr necessarily isn't a guy you can't build a team around. As far as quarterbacks go, who else in the National Football League that would even close to be available that you do build a team around then? I would take Derek Carr over any of the other names. I would take Derek Carr over any other names as far as the long-term, not short-term, not a Band-Aid fix, not a win-now LA Rams style quarterback. I'm talking long-term, bring him in, you're the face of the franchise. And I think Derek Carr wants that. I think Derek Carr needs that. Has Derek Carr been in a great situation in Vegas the whole time he's been there? No, absolutely not. It's always been something going on up there. Just look at this season alone. Herbert is awesome. Great deep ball game. Another one that Colts could have gone all in on that did not. I'm a Jags fan like your son. I'm sorry. I do expect the Jacksonville Jaguars to be a much better team coming up this season. And I expect Trevor Lawrence to start to develop more. The Jags really, even in the face of Urban Meyer and that whole circus that was going on, I think Trevor Lawrence still held his composure as a rookie quarterback in this league. And I think we're the best is yet to come out of Trevor Lawrence, as is Justin Fields. I think both of those guys were in bad situations on bad teams with bad coaching. That the 22 season is going to be more of their coming out party than 21 was. Did Andrew Luck ever have a great situation in Indy? He had a much better situation than either one of those guys did. And Andrew Luck quit. He didn't retire, he quit. So, yeah, Andrew Luck had Reggie Wayne, Eric Ebron. Andrew, and there's, who else? I can't even think because I've tried to block all of that out of here. I mean, we went T.Y. Hilton. I mean, the Colts were a much better team than the Chicago Bears or the Jags. Absolutely. If you're a real fan, is Herbert a Catholic or Mormon? He's not a Catholic. I like Carr a lot. If he came to Indy. What was that? Yeah, I would be beyond happy if Carr came to Indy. I don't care about his religion. But he is Mormon, though, isn't he? So, going back to there's going to be a lot of moves in this offseason. No, but isn't he more... There's a younger quarterback, and don't mean to get off topic too much here, that's been drafted in the past couple of seasons that is Mormon. I can't remember who it is because I watched a thing on it because you had... Jim McMahon was a Mormon. I was a Jim McMahon fan back in the day. Him playing at BYU. Jets quarterback is a Mormon. Okay, maybe that's who I'm thinking of. All right, there we go. All right, I knew it wasn't. It was ringing a bell somewhere. We have no blood type because my fam has this thing called Thas. How do you pronounce that? Do you like Pittman long term for the Colts? I do like Pittman. The Pittman still has some developing, and Pittman I would like to see. I love Pittman's size. I love the big guys that can go up and just go after that 50-50 ball, go up, fight. But Pittman needs to be more aggressive, without question. On the other side of that, see, it doesn't take much, man. On the other side of that, he was the only receiver with 400 yards this season. And I always say this, as much as I enjoy Michael Pittman Jr., is he a number one wide receiver? I don't think so. Not yet. You put him on any other team in the National Football League, he's a 2, and at some teams, he's a 3. If you put Michael Pittman Jr. on the Cincinnati Bengals, he's their third. He's their third guy. He just, that's how it is. And but I still think he's getting there. I still think he's getting there. He's still got a lot to learn. The guy's got a chip on his shoulder. I didn't like, if going back to the Patriots game, he let his, and look, that's something that comes with age and time and all of these other stuff. But the fight he got into with the Patriots that cost the Colts tremendously, and it almost cost the Colts that game when they played the Patriots at home this season. Pittman on the Raiders isn't a... Pah! On the Raiders? No. Sassy Chick, what's good? We got a Razorback in the house from Arkansas. How's Arkansas this fine evening? Or, well, I guess morning now. Mike Williams. So, let's talk about the Lions. Thanks, Justin. I think Mike Williams would be a solid fit for the Colts. I would also like to see Godwin for the Colts. But again, until the Colts figure out, I think everything else needs to hit pause. I really do. And I'm sure the Colts front office is thinking the same way. Everything's got to hit pause. We have to move forward, or cutting Carson Wentz is moving forward. You can start to build more around that. But right now, you've just got this cloud. This cloud's not necessarily raining, but you're waiting on it to move out of the way so you can see sun and everything goes on, life goes on from there. The Colts have to rip this Band-Aid off, and until that happens, it's going to be hard, because as soon as Carson Wentz is gone, you can start planning for the future. Even if you don't have your long-term, your franchise quarterback there yet, you can, because you could build around that and then go look for the guy that fits that scheme, or go look for the guy that would be a good fit in what you've built. Before you start making any bigger moves anywhere else, you've got to have a vision for that. And maybe Chris Ballard already has that vision. But until Carson Wentz is gone and out of the equation, I don't think that's the case. So Deshaun Watson, no, the Colts are the Colts would never take Deshaun Watson. Historically, the Indianapolis Colts are that team that is very they're very cautious, very conservative when it comes to off the field issues. And I'm talking about, I've seen guys cut the next morning from a DUI before they're even bonded out of jail, just on things like that. So Deshaun Watson, the Colts would start Quentin Nelson as quarterback before they would Deshaun Watson, just because of his off the field. And that's what, when I was talking about, if you were here at the beginning of this, I was talking about the culture that the Colts have built in that office, within that team. It takes years to develop a culture that the Colts have in that building. It always doesn't translate into championships, and that's fine. It always doesn't translate into wins. But you cannot lower your standards for a culture once you've worked so hard to set the goals, set the standards for that culture in a building. That's just and as a leader, in any profession, whether it's a locker room, and football, and basketball, baseball, and police work, you build a good culture within a group or an organization, and that's hard to do. And once you do it, you have to maintain that culture. And it's very, very easy to destroy, because it's you're enticed by guys like Deshaun Watson, or Antonio Brown or somebody like that has all of this baggage, because you say, oh man, we still got to win. They could bring a lot to this team and we could go after it and win. But once you have a culture, and that's why you don't see the Colts having problems. They're not an organization that has problems like many other teams do. And that's because of the culture that they've built within the organization. That's my thing with that. Yes, all right, thoughts on Pat McAfee. So he is about the only one that has, and it was a rarity, that has been arrested here in Indy and was able to continue to play ball here. And the reason for that was the city ended up embracing him. He was young, and just about everybody that was here, and he didn't do anything that could hurt anybody else. He wasn't behind the wheel of a car where it's making Mothers Against Drunk Driving mad, or police officers, or just people in general be like, man, that's disrespectful to all the general public that's out and about around. This guy thinks he's better than anybody else. Pat McAfee went to the bar at 23 years old and went and jumped in like a 2-foot canal and was soaking wet, freezing his keister off, and got arrested walking down the sidewalk soaking wet for public intox. He paid his debt, came out, apologized, owned it, because the Colts were going to cut him, and he went above and beyond, embracing the city and the team to go back from to make up for what he did, and the city loved him for it. So McAfee in the WWE. Trade Jonathan Taylor. Eric. Boom. So not many people. Chris Godwin was who I was talking about. Eric brings up a point that I constantly I've been saying since the start of the offseason, and that people just call me absolutely insane. And that is to trade Jonathan Taylor. Don't get me wrong. I love Jonathan Taylor. Absolutely love him. Would keep him on my fantasy team. I would love to see him be the running back of the Indianapolis Colts till he retired. However, the Colts have Carson Wentz as their quarterback. That marriage, and I always refer to it as a marriage because it was, that marriage failed miserably. Year one. And in a marriage, when the divorce happens, you don't always get to keep the house that you built. You don't always get to keep the sports car that you bought. More times than not, you lose it. And in this marriage, the Colts don't get to keep the house. The Colts don't get to keep the sports car, because the Colts jeopardize and mortgage their future to bring Carson Wentz to Indy, to have him take us to the playoffs and win playoff games. It failed miserably, and it cost the Colts big time. The Colts have painted themselves into a corner with this. The bad thing is the Colts have no trade capital. They have no way of getting out of this. But what do we have? We've got an MVP caliber running back who smashed franchise records, was mentioned his second year in the league as an MVP candidate. Do you need an MVP caliber running back to win a Super Bowl or to win a playoff game in the National Football League? That answer is absolutely not. Not even close. Look at the two teams that just played in the Super Bowl. Yeah, Joe Mixon's good. What was he? Was he a crucial piece to winning any of those games in the playoffs? Absolutely not. Because it's running back by committee in the year 2022 in the National Football League. Jonathan Taylor will never be worth what he is right today. He won't be. As a running back in the National Football League in this day and age, he will never be worth what he is right now. Because if he goes out next season, week one, every down he's going to start costing, his worth's going to go down a little farther and a little farther. Because if he doesn't have the exact same season he had this year or better, everybody's going to be like, he's not that big of a deal, right? So the fact that I think You got to sell high on him. We don't deserve to get to keep him because we need a quarterback. We don't need an MVP caliber running back to do well. We do, however, need a quarterback. And that's why I think when it comes down to making a deal to get a first-round pick back or making a deal for a franchise quarterback, Jonathan Taylor's name should not be excluded. As a matter of fact, there shouldn't be any name excluded from the Indianapolis Colts with the exception of one. So if I'm Chris Ballard's whiteboard should have two sides, exempt and non-exempt. There should be 51 names on the non-exempt, one on the exempt, and that should be Darius Leonard. Darius Leonard should be the only player on the Colts that should not even, and no, I don't even say Quentin Nelson. Matter of fact, I think Quentin Nelson, for the money that he's being paid in his position, for the money that he's being paid, I have a hard time not entertaining deals for him. The same way with Jonathan Taylor. Darius Leonard, however, just not what he, and everybody always says, are you high? Why? Well, how am I high? You think that we're going to win a championship with Jonathan Taylor and no quarterback? No way. No way. I don't care what team that is. Yeah, and T.Y., he should have walked last year. He's too injured. He's just too hurt to be. But the thing with T.Y., it's not necessarily was his play on the field. They needed him as his veteran, with his veteran presence and his locker room presence. That's why T.Y. was important to have on that team with that core of receivers that the Colts have that hasn't really worked out. But because that's something else I think. His injuries affected that receiving core. But they will win a championship with Leonard. Darius on as far as defense, what Darius Leonard brings off the field and to that locker room, Darius Leonard by far is the biggest leader on that team. Especially when you have a weak coach. That's what I'm getting at with Darius Leonard. Look at his takeaways and everything he did on the field defensively. That is, his play itself is tremendous. But I'm going off of his presence in the locker room and off the field, the things he's done. That aspect of a player is priceless and it's really hard to find. I do think Quentin Nelson is overpaid. Why would Ballard trade Taylor? He can't trade a highlight draft steal. It would show he's incompetent. And this Carson Wentz deal has shown he's incompetent. So we didn't need Jonathan Taylor. We had two running backs on contract that we're paying a lot of money to, especially one, Naheem Hines and Marlon Mack. Yeah, absolutely. They're all grossly overpaid. Wentz never should have been here. So the fact is, I don't dislike any of those guys, and I hope we keep them all. I hope Chris Ballard works some just amazing magic that none of us realize that he has, and we get to keep everybody. However, I'm a realist, and if it comes down to it, and it means if we are able to bring Derek Carr to Indy and have our quarterback for the next 5 seasons, and it costs us Jonathan Taylor, I'd be willing to make that happen. That's what I'm saying. Because then we'd at least be back up to par. And then we can start working on all of the other skill positions that we need. Carr isn't much of an upgrade from Carson Wentz? Oh, no, I disagree. I completely disagree. We're not looking at just numbers. We're looking at locker room, off the field, what they do. I mean, all of these things. Carson Wentz is an Indy for a paycheck, and that was it. The locker room, from different things I've heard. I mean, and that is out that affects everybody. Offense, defense, special teams, a bad, especially when it's this guy's supposed to be leading your team. He's the captain of your team, and he's and like Carson Wentz has been, I think Derek Carr would be a much better fit. Or Russell Wilson, for that matter. I would love to see Russell Wilson here. Or Kyler Murray. Because I do think I don't think Kyler Murray stays with the Cardinals. I really don't. Yeah, I believe Carr is underrated. I never liked Carr with the Raiders. I think there are some guys, and like I said, I think Baker Mayfield, a lot of guys argue with me about this, and gals. A lot of people argue with me about this. I think Baker Mayfield is one of these. I think there are some quarterbacks on some teams that if you put them on it with a different franchise and a different system, they're completely different players. Derek Carr, one of them. Baker Mayfield's one. Well, I will say Justin Fields is another one. Just because. But I think the Bears are getting ready to turn around. I really think, look out for the Bears. But Jimmy G, I'm not drinking the Jimmy G Kool-Aid. Maybe I'm wrong with that one, but I just don't. No, and that's what sizzle for me. I would be willing to bet anything. There's no way, and you know where, that Carson Wentz continues with the Colts. No way. Absolutely no way. I don't care if Sam Ehlinger is the starting quarterback week 1. There is no Carson Wentz starting with the Colts or playing for the Colts. That is done. That book is closed. That chapter is over. Wentz doesn't work hard, right? Last one in, first one to leave. Well, yeah. Who's Wentz do that for? He does it for him. He doesn't do it for the franchise. He doesn't do it for anything else. Cool kid, thank you. I appreciate that. That's another big problem I have with Carson Wentz. The things I saw out of him this year, all the way down to not getting it. Look, I have my own thoughts and opinions on vaccines and mandates and all of that, but that's a character flaw. That's something, if you're being paid $25 million to do something, you better be the first one to do everything at the owner's request, especially when a team has mortgaged their future for you to give you a second chance after you've just been run out of one of the best sports cities in the National Football League. He came here for a paycheck. Cared nothing about this city, the franchise, or anything else. Right. People saying Wentz needed pieces. Rivers did more with the same pieces. Absolutely. Matter of fact, I think Wentz had a better, a more well-polished team than what Phillip Rivers had to play with. Wentz is good, but I don't think he's capable of carrying a team. No, because Wentz is worried about Wentz, and that's just it. He's not that fit. And he also made Frank Reich worse, if that makes any sense at all. I think Frank Reich wanted and was so concerned about this Wentz experiment working, I think it clouded his judgment as a head coach, and I think it clouded his play calling. He's very, very injury prone. However, his injuries this season, I waited all season for the other shoe to drop. However, that was, he played a lot more than what I thought, than what I expected. Came down to his knowledge of the game. Like I said, you guys, Subi, if you're trying to be a jerk, you're going to have to try harder, or I'll just block you. Mr. Clean's a good-looking, cut-up dude, man. Play calling was a huge issue. Oh, without question. Without question. He played every game. He shouldn't have, man. That Vegas game should have been Sam Ehlinger's game to start. It was, and the Colts should have continued. That's what I'm saying as well. That should have been Sam Ehlinger's game to start, man. That shame on Frank Reich for that. People saying Wentz needs pieces, but Rivers did more with the same pieces. Without question. The Colts have a small window with Jonathan Taylor if they can get a good quarterback. And that's why I say sell high on Jonathan Taylor. I don't if it comes down to that, because look at the teams out there that would be willing, that are playoff caliber teams that have a quarterback in place, that have, wide receivers. And I'm not saying just sell or, trade Jonathan Taylor just for draft pick. You could bring possibly to the right team if they salivated over Jonathan Taylor enough from the thought of having him, but playing with your playoff caliber quarterback. The possibilities are endless on what you could get for Jonathan Taylor. But that's right now. I think the fact, if the Colts do not shop Jonathan Taylor, I think that would be asinine with us being in the position we're in with quarterback. That's all I'm saying. And because teams sometimes offer crazy stuff for crazy players. You know what I mean? You sometimes general managers have something in their head that they just think, man, if I had a guy like Jonathan Taylor on my team, and they sit back and they think that would get us to the next level. And sometimes you strike oil. And I think the Colts at least should throw that out in the universe to see what happens, to see what sticks. What college team do you root for? So, football or basketball? Football, I'm SEC all the way. I'm a Florida Gators fan. Basketball, IU. I've got ties there. However, I have a son at Purdue right now, so I'm a Purdue dad. So I support. I back Purdue athletics. Who do you think will play in our LEO position? I don't know. The Colts need. And as a Colts fan, were you happy with DeForest Buckner? And I'm not saying just overall, especially towards the. Thank you, Law Dog. I appreciate that. Kimoko Toure. The Colts are in a hard spot. But I wasn't, as far as D-Buck, I wasn't just... I thought we were going to get more. He was being double-teamed a lot. But I don't know. I go back and Kwity Paye, I saw bursts of... I expected more from DeForest Buckner. I really did. For the money and what that was pretty much Chris Ballard's first time he made a move. That's the first big, move that we saw out of our general manager in the offseason. I like Kwity Paye. But he needs help. He does need help on the other side. I don't know who that answer is, and I think the Colts, that's somewhere they need to go make a move. I heard Mike Chappell the other day that said he expects Chris Ballard to make some moves in free agency, not blockbuster top tier names, because the Colts obviously aren't in that position to do that because we need a quarterback, but some bigger names that are mid-level names, and I expect somebody, an end, to be one of those names. And I hope that's the case. I really hope that's the case, because so many Colts fans say, hey, Colts are a quarterback away from making the Super Bowl. And I can't say that I necessarily agree with that because the Colts have other voids. When you look at the Chiefs, the Bills. Now, granted, the Colts beat the majority of the teams that were in the playoffs. And if they didn't win the game, they were up by double digits on them at some point. That I still blame on coaching. But the Colts are in a hard spot. But before we even get to all that, I still think we've got to move on from the whole Carson Wentz thing and just get this over with because it's become such a big issue. And you know when there are issues, player issues like that are occupying the media and the fans' thoughts. Are we ready? Sure. All right. When they're occupying the media and the fans' thoughts like that, it's just a cloud. And the Colts need to move on get that cloud hanging from over their heads so we can focus on other spots. Colts go. So you predicting Wentz will be cut for the guarantee? Yes. Well, yes. I still think. Yes, I do think that'll be the case. I think. What is that? I think it's March 18th. Is when the season technically ends. And if not, there'll be a deal made quickly. Because I think the Colts had already been planning on eating that $15 million. Bowling Boy, I agree. I'm excited about Gus Bradley. Brooklyn, how are you? I'm excited about Gus Bradley. They need Chandler Jones. He's a free agent. Yes, I think Chandler Jones, we talked about him earlier. I don't know if you were here. Chandler Jones from Arizona. That's going to be a big name because I don't know what is going on in Arizona. This whole Kyler Murray thing is on the stuff that's coming out about them talking about Kyler Murray being immature and all of that. Let him go. Let him go. All right, I would be willing. Who is it? It's the Indianapolis Colts. Let's make a deal. I'll take your immature quarterback and give you one Quentin Nelson or Jonathan Taylor. I would hope not, but I mean to have your 24-year-old franchise quarterback that you're allowing to be released to the media as immature and whatnot, I think is insane. And they think they can do better with Colt McCoy. Have at it. Good luck. Good luck. Because I know the Cardinals franchise is surrounded with Super Bowl trophies, right? No. I don't know why. I know the Cardinals franchise is surrounded with Super Bowl trophies, right? No. I don't know why. Why does everybody think Kyler Murray is bad? The Cardinals, I don't, no way. Why do, Wentz is done with Indy. Wentz is done with the Colts. That, I don't even think that is an option. And I do think Kyler Murray is great talent. I thought Kyler Murray carried the team a lot. He's 24. He needs developed. The fact that your 24-year-old millionaire quarterback is having trouble with maturity? No, I can't. I don't understand how that's possible. Give me a break. That's up to that franchise to help develop him and to take him to the next level of maturity. I think the Cardinals are, if anything, the Cardinals are bad. Carson Wentz is not that bad. You want him in Houston? Or in Houston? As a Rams fan, I want him in Arizona. Yeah, I believe Kyler Murray can become great. Even though he's small, I believe he can become great. Look, Russell Wilson's small. And last two Colts games, week 17 and 18 was a complete implosion. I don't understand why. I think Kyler Murray is a top 12 quarterback in the league. He poses no threat, Kyler Murray? Yeah, the last 2 weeks of the season as a Colts fan, one, the Raiders game, the Colts held their own destiny, meaning all they had to do was win one game. Week 17, the Colts played the Raiders at home in Indianapolis. All the Colts had to do, they had 2 games left, they had to win one game. And at kickoff, which was at 1 o'clock on Sunday, it was possible, because I can't remember who the Titans were playing that day, it was possible for the Colts to end up, if the Titans lost, for the Colts to take over first place in the AFC South. So you go as a team and as a coach, it's possible for you to go out there and take over the AFC South. Right? To be in first place. You had Carson Wentz, your starting quarterback, who was out on COVID restriction. They had 10 days, the CDC, it was 10 days out, quarantine, couldn't play. That Friday, the CDC changes their guidelines to 5 days. Sunday morning, they decide Carson Wentz can play. All that week, Sam Ehlinger, our backup, Longhorn, guy we've never seen play. I did not see your video, by the way, Bub. I'll have to look at it if it's on your page. But a guy that we had never seen play, guy a lot of us were anticipating seeing what he can do, was supposed to start. He brought his family in, his girlfriend, flew all of his family in from all over the country. 10 o'clock Sunday morning. Oh, well, Carson's better now. Even though he's had COVID all week. But we're gonna limp him out here and let him start. Instead of just staying the course with the game plan, letting Sam Ehlinger start, and if you crap the bed, pull him out and put Carson in, didn't even give the kid a chance. Carson Wentz goes out there and plays piss poor. The Colts take an L at home. At home. In front of a sold out Lucas Oil Stadium. All you had to do is win one game at home against the Raiders team, and you're in the playoffs. 1-in. So then it takes you to Jacksonville, which that Jacksonville game, week 18, I was never confident about because it's been since 2014 since the Indianapolis Colts have won in Jacksonville. Last time the Colts won in Jacksonville, Andrew Luck threw 4 touchdowns. That tells you how long ago that was. Absolutely insane. And the Colts went out there in front of a bunch of clowns because all the Jags fans dressed as clowns that day and got beat like a D2 college team. It was insane. That was the end. Dude and Casey, that was the end of the season and the end of a lot. I've been a Colts fan since the Colts came here in '84, landed on the Mayflower. That was one of the worst games I've ever seen. Ever. And what is it? Going on close to 40 years that the Colts have been here in Indy. And it was sad, it was disgusting, and it didn't have to be that way. And I blame a lot of it on coaching and Carson Wentz. So that's why we are where we are. Do you think Jags fans will dress as clowns for big games in the future? Good question. Good question. And Eric, I've talked a lot about the whole Sean Payton thing. I have I don't want Andrew Luck back after Andrew Luck. Look, we're in this position because of Andrew Luck. I don't blame him for all of it, but Andrew Luck bolted on this team. He didn't retire, he quit. And that's why it wasn't just Wentz, but I blame a lot of both of those losses on Frank Reich. And that was all season long. You're up by double digits on a lot of playoff teams, and you just crapped the bed and lost the game in the fourth quarter. It was bad news bears, man. And the Colts were definitely the biggest clown that week. Every other team in the NFL wanted to be the Colts. Yes, absolutely they did. I mean, that's storybook NFL play. That's storybook starting quarterback play. That's what you imagine in your head when you're a 9-year-old kid in the backyard throwing the football. That's it. That's the scenario you want, right? Carson Wentz showed a lot of who he is and showed it Frank Reich. If you can't motivate a team that's in that position to win a game at home, and I'm focused more on that Vegas game when they were at home. I was very, very concerned that week going into Jacksonville. I was not confident the Colts were going to win, and when they lost, it wasn't a surprise to me, just because of the record and how Jacksonville always balls out against the Colts when they're in Jacksonville. It's just, that's something that happens. That train is never late. If I had to choose, I'm not a fan of either, but if I had to choose between Kirk Cousins or Garoppolo, it'd be Kirk Cousins. No comment on Jags game. That was ugly. It was ugly. We led the whole game until the fourth quarter against Raiders. Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. And that was just like the Bucs game, the Ravens game. There was multiple other ones that we did the exact same thing to. Deshaun Watson will not be in Indy. There's just too much off the field stuff. The Colts would never even entertain that idea, unfortunately. I would like to see a Deshaun Watson behind the center here in Indy, but I don't see that ever happening. You have to admit, we lost games because of bad player execution. Yeah, but who ultimately does that player execution follow? And who is responsible for that? Yeah. Yes. Yep. And Hines did. I think you're right on that. What type of receiver do you want the Colts to get? I would like to see another Michael Pittman-esque. I would like to see another 6'2", at least 6'1" guy that can jump up and go fight for the ball. I like that style of receiver. Or just a lightning fast slot guy. Somebody that you can pick up those short yardage passes to across the middle and let his speed take care of the rest. But, guys, I just realized what time it was. I'm off tomorrow. I was supposed to start a movie with my wife at midnight, but I'm a little late on that. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'll be back tomorrow. It's President's Day, so I'm hoping you all are off tomorrow. We'll talk some more football if you can. I do this on a nightly basis. I'm a police officer, so that irons my uniform on a nightly basis. That's why it's called Let's Iron It Out. That's just what I do, and I like to talk to you all as I do this, or as I iron. I'm not ironing tonight for obvious reasons because I'm not working tomorrow. So thank you so much. If you haven't followed me already, I ask that you hit that plus button that's right in there somewhere. Smash that screen a couple times if you would before we leave. I haven't quite hit 5,000 likes. Not somebody that beats you over the head for gifts or likes, but it does make a difference, and it does help on where I'm rated on TikTok. And all of that good stuff. So please give me a follow if you haven't already. And go through my videos if you haven't. I'm in a campaign. I'm trying to get the Colts to follow me back ever since they lost. What the heck else are they doing in the offseason? What they do during the playoffs? Absolutely nothing. So I figured at least they could give me a follow back on TikTok. Their TikTok manager is not doing anything else. So why not, right? But thank you guys again so much. I appreciate your support. Any way and every way that you can. Have a good evening. Come back and see me tomorrow. Do something good for somebody tomorrow. Or say something good for somebody tomorrow. It does make a difference. And that's the God's honest truth. When somebody on here says, hey, thank you for your service, that truly does make a difference to me. It is important. So I appreciate it. Do it to somebody else. Do better, be better. Thank you guys again so much. Have a good evening.